For me growing up, it was Ghostbusters and Aliens, because those are the two films where normal people, not superheroes, were able to work together and defeat the thing that was scary. And the fact that both of them had Sigourney Weaver, that was just icing on the cake.
Alien made Ellen Ripley into an icon, this lone survivor facing terror made manifest. But James Cameron, the genius that he is, dialed everything to 11 and made the perfect sequel. And it's his visual imagination, writing and directing that makes it my favourite movie of all time, and why I believe it will remain the gold standard for sequels for the next 1,000 years and more.
Is Aliens the greatest movie ever made? Of course it is. Is it bursting with amazing action, lovable space marines, and a villain we love to hate? Absolutely. But the heart of this film is Ellen Ripley, who gave me permission to use my voice and do whatever it takes to protect the ones I love. As an impressionable 12-year-old, she taught me to be bold, smart, and courageous.
And almost 40 years later, she's doing the same for me.
Well, my dad gave me a sneak peek of the Hive battle. And later that night, I snuck downstairs and watched the whole movie quietly, with no sound. And then, of course, after that, with all the cool gizmos and gadgets and weaponry, I went to school the next day and started building pulse rifles out of the wood and all the different cardboard, and while my friends were building birdhouses and chess sets, right? And it's stuck with me ever since. So, yeah, it's been a huge part of my life, and happy to be a part of course, supporting Aliens Expanded. Really great job.
The first time I watched Aliens, I thought it couldn't be as good as the first one, but it was. It added to the tension, a lot of humor, action, and unbeatable practical effects. I can't choose just one character behind Ripley: Hudson, Vasquez, Sergeant Apone. The final fight between Ripley and the Power Loader against the Queen is probably one of the best action scenes of all time. Both movies are such good to deserve an alien museum, and that's what I did.
I think the reason Aliens has stood the test of time is that it's one of those rare films that's pretty much perfect. Casting, writing, direction, effects, soundtrack, it ticks every box and just nails it. You could put Aliens up against any sci-fi film, horror film, action film, and it will hold its own. So to the cast and crew of Aliens and Aliens Expanded, I just want to say a massive thank you, and game over, man!
Aliens changed my life. I was 10 years old when I saw it for the first time. It was midnight, and without my parents knowing, I saw it alone. It's constantly building up tension, and the first glimpse we see of an alien is almost at the 1 hour running time. I know I'm one of the few, but I prefer the theatrical version because it gives you less information and gives a chance for your imagination to figure out the rest.
Well, I've been into Aliens since I've been in first grade. Kenner Toyline got me into it at first, saw the movie, fell in love with it. It's actually had real-world effects on me because I became aware of the novels, and I read them, like Aliens Earthbound was the first one I read in that whole series when I was younger, and when it came time to get to fourth grade, I took a reading comprehension test after applying to skip fourth grade, since my reading level was way beyond that, and I skipped fourth, so because of Aliens.
I'm so glad that I was able to be a part of Aliens Expanded. This journey has been absolutely fantastic, and connecting with other people that share the same passion as I do for not only this movie but this franchise, just great, amazing. I remember watching the movie for the first time as a little girl and seeing Ripley be a leader, a mom, an overall badass while being completely terrified really showed me how to be braver in my everyday life, and I hope it inspired other people too, like it did me.
I thought movies from as far back as I can remember, but seeing Aliens for the first time when I was 14 was a game changer. The story, the characters, the special effects took my passion for film to new heights. I watched it on an almost daily basis, wearing out the tape in the process. In art class, I would draw Aliens comics, imagining them invading the school. I'm now approaching 50, and as you can see, this film still means the world to me, and I cannot wait to share this passion, share the stories with my own children.
I saw Aliens the night before my 5th birthday. We made it to the Hive scene, and as Barbara Cole's chest burst open and the Marines started dying, I had to turn it off. I was too terrified. I had nightmares for 5 years. I slept face down, my young logic being that any chest burster inside me would not be able to come out. but I was obsessed. I was frightened, but I was obsessed with this creature that I was mesmerised by, that I wanted to look at, but I was too scared to even set my eyes upon.
Aliens represents a bygone era of filmmaking, where a bunch of grown-up professionals could put all their craft and dedication into making us pure, unadulterated entertainment. They treated their source material dead seriously, elevating a movie about space monsters into a masterpiece. I'm grateful Aliens exists, because I'll never tire of it. Oh, and James Horner was a fucking genius.
Hi, my name is Bob Farmer. I'm a huge Aliens fan. My first memory of Aliens was standing in line by myself at the movie theater to buy the first ticket for the first showing, back in 1986 when I was just 13. I've loved the movie ever since. The production design, the design of the creatures, the hardware, everything. My favorite character is obviously Hudson. You gotta say game over, man.
My name is David, and I am an Aliens fan. I saw Aliens when it first came to theaters in 1986. I could not wait to see the sequel to one of my favorite movies ever, which was Alien, Ridley Scott's. But I loved The Terminator, so I couldn't wait to see what Jim Cameron was going to do for the sequel. It was amazing. It blew my mind away. It became the most quotable film I could ever quote, more than Top Gun in 1986. Such an amazing time. Aliens rocks.
Ever since I first watched it in middle school, Aliens has been by far my favorite movie. Everything about it is just perfect. The monsters, the designs, the sets, the story, and especially the cast of characters, just all amazing. Ripley and Newt, their relationship is so adorable, they're even my Twinkies.
I saw Aliens in the cinema when it first came out as a teenager, and it instantly became my favourite film, and still is to this day, and that is thanks to Jim Cameron, who directed it absolutely perfectly. There's not a false note in the entire film. Thank you, Jim.
First time I saw Aliens, 1986 opening weekend at the Hudson Mall Cinema in Jersey City. I'm 13 years old. I walked in that theater and I came out and I said, and I quote, I need a fucking pulse rifle. Aliens is not only one of the best science fiction films of all time, it's not only one of the best action films of all time, it's one of the best sequels of all time, and it's got some of the best cigar chewing you're ever gonna see in a motion picture. Be my guest.
I saw Aliens when it first came out in the theaters, and I remember walking out just totally drained from all the excitement and action I saw. I never saw another movie like it. It was just amazing.
Hi, my name is Marlo. I was introduced to Aliens at a very young age, and like most children, I found the xenomorph to be utterly terrifying. But Aliens is really important to me because it was the first time in my childhood where my fear of a given thing was overshadowed by my sheer excitement for it. The movie was so good that despite the fact that I was terrified of what I was seeing on screen, I just couldn't stop watching it. And it went on to be my favorite film of all time.
Hi, my name is Dominic, and I'm a huge Aliens fan, and I have been for as long as I can remember. I was first introduced to the franchise through the Sega Saturn game Alien Trilogy, and by the time I got around to watching the films, I was already enamored with the world and the universe, the weapons, the tech, the xenomorph itself. Just crazy good fun, and Aliens is the epitome of the franchise.
Hey, welcome back, man. How was your conference?
Did IQ suddenly drop while I was away?
What did you learn there?
Oh my gosh, I learned the coolest trick. Can I show you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Guys, get back to work.
She's mad. Distract her. Distract her. What do you have?
I got some cornbread for her.
Give her the cornbread.
Hey, boss. You want some cornbread?
Get away from me, you bitch!
Ooh,
Guess you don't like the cornbread either.
Hey, how do I get out of this chicken shit outfit?
Seriously, guys, back to work. Game over, man. Game over.
We don't just like aliens.
We
live aliens.
My name is John Elder Predator, and my love for Alien began in 1993 when I got the Kenner Scorpion Alien, as you can see behind my roommate back here. Shortly after, I rented Aliens from Blockbuster Video, and it became an instant favorite, a film which I truly think stands the test of time. My favorite character in the film was always Bishop with his stoic demeanor, and I've been blessed to meet the man himself, Lance Henriksen, at many conventions along other legends, and I am incredibly honored to be part of this wonderful documentary, Aliens Expanded. Here's to 100 more years of Aliens.
My favourite Aliens memory, probably when the VHS was released on special edition. My cousins had seen it and were telling me how great it was. I was only about 8 years old at the time and I was desperate to see it, so I convinced my parents to let me watch it. And the moment that Barbara Coles opened her eyes when they found her in the hive was enough for me. I screamed for the film to be switched off and I became hysterical. Ironically, it's now my favourite film of all time.
When Aliens came out, I was 16 years old. Saw it in the theater with a couple of friends, and just blown away when I saw it back then, and just obsessed with it ever since. And it's been, one of the movies that has inspired me to do what I do now, which is write for a living. Kind of led me on the path that I'm on now, so it'll always have a special place in my heart.
I first saw Aliens when I was about 10 years old, and I remember thinking it was terrifying, funny, incredible, heart-racing action and fear and horror, and it was amazing. It blew me away. I'm 43 now, and I still feel the reactions when I see it. All those things are still true. It's not aged a bit. It's perfect in its script, its pace, its acting, its directing. For me, it's a perfect movie.
I backed Aliens Expanded because it was a great opportunity to find out more about the history of my favourite film, Aliens. I've been watching Aliens since I was a teenager and was fortunate enough to have an understanding mother who rented the video for me from the video store. My favourite character is Hudson, played by Bill Paxton. My favourite line is, "They mostly come out at night, mostly."
So my first memory of Aliens was when I first saw the movie when I was 4 years old. Probably much too young to be watching that kind of film, but my parents decided to show it to me anyway. A lot of my memories from that first viewing are a blur, but I remember very distinctly the alien queen and Ripley coming out in the power loader at the very end, delivering that iconic line and that fight between the two of them. That has been burned into my mind since I was 4.
I was 9 years old when I first watched Aliens, right after it came out here in Sweden, and it's one of my strongest childhood memories. It's the best action movie, it's the best science fiction movie, it's the best monster movie, it's the best war movie, not to mention one of the best sequels ever made to a movie. I used to think, Bishop was the coolest character, but then I realized, Queen takes Bishop, so he's kind of out. Thank you for letting me be part of this. Peace.
While Alien was the breakthrough in sci-fi horror, Aliens was the breakthrough in sci-fi action horror. There was just nothing like it for its time, because you weren't just in fear of what the xenomorphs were going to do, you were engaged, ready to freaking blow them away. And what I love so much about Ripley's character is that while you had strong female protagonists like Valeria from Conan and Marion from Raiders of the Lost Ark, Ripley was just as defiant against corporations as she was aliens, because they can bill me.
Game over, man! Game over! I saw Aliens in July of '86 when it was released. I was 16 years old, I just got my driver's license, and I was so full of adrenaline from Aliens, but when I came into the theater and saw the theatrical cut of Aliens, it pushed it right over the top. I had nightmares for 3 consecutive nights. They were coming out of the walls, they were coming out of the ceiling, they were coming out of the floor, and they were the best nightmares I ever had. No other film has ever done that.
When I found out about Aliens Expanded, I knew I had to take the opportunity to be a part of the Aliens legacy. Ever since I was a child watching Aliens for the first time, it's been my favourite film for the amazing action scenes and the classic dialogue. I enjoy learning about Aliens universe from in front and behind the camera, and if there's one thing I need to know, it's... You always were an asshole, Gorman.
Hi, Captain Richard here. I just want to say that Aliens is my favorite sci-fi movie of all time. I truly believe it's probably the greatest sci-fi movie sequel of all time. I've loved the movie ever since I was a kid, sneaking a viewing of it when my parents weren't looking. Then, growing up with Xenomorph posters on my wall and the collectibles and all sorts of things. It really is the high water mark for sci-fi, in my opinion, and many others have obviously been greatly influenced by it. So thank you, Creator VC, for putting together an awesome documentary. Thank you, James Cameron, Sigourney Weaver, and the entire cast for being a part of it. It's awesome. Love you all. Thank you so much. And remember, check those corners.
I remember the first time I saw Aliens. I was 12 years old and my parents would not let me watch it. So I went to a friend who taped it from TV. I loved it. The story, the characters, the music, the action. And I'll never forget the feeling I had when I watched it. That's why when I saw this project, I needed to be a part of it. I feel like this is something that will live on forever, and now I'm part of it. Thank you.
In my opinion, it is mankind's greatest cinematic achievement. It is the perfect story, perfectly cast, perfectly written, expertly directed, expertly executed. It is just a phenomenal achievement, and it's why 40 years later we're still talking about it with this much passion and intensity. It's Aliens.
Let's saddle up. Aliens will always be the pinnacle of sci-fi action horror movies. The way that the aliens only have 6 minutes of screen time but provide constant terror and lurking anywhere at any time, but lets the story be driven forward by the characters, their interactions, and their development over time is just beautiful. In addition to that, we also get LV-426, Aliens Day, April 26th, every single year. Hell yeah.
I first watched Aliens when I was 8 years old. I'm 39 now. I'm obsessed. I collect a bunch of stuff. I watch the movie regularly, and I do nothing but admire the quality of the performances and the set design and the story, and I just get lost in the world. It never gets old. I am so grateful that it exists.
So one of the questions I ask is, what's your favorite quote from Aliens? And the truth is there's so many great quotes, so many great actors, so many one-liners that it's a true testament to how great this film is. And when the opportunity came up to be a part of it, it was really a no-brainer. I had to get in. It's the only way to be sure.
How can you not love something as beautiful as a xenomorph? Let me show you. Need I say more?
I'd say I was probably 8 years old when I first saw Aliens. Tiny tunnels with this alien goop everywhere, bodies everywhere. It was horrible to see as a kid, but also just so awesome to watch. And the idea of Ripley being such a redeeming character and such a powerful woman is one of the main reasons we named our daughter Ripley.
I saw the original Alien when I was about 12. A couple of years later, I begged and begged my parents to let me see Aliens in the movie theatre. All I can say is it literally blew my mind. To this day, the greatest action movie I've ever seen. The sets and special effects are amazing, along with that heart-pumping soundtrack and epic score. And who wasn't in love with Ripley a little, with her no-nonsense, take-charge attitude in the APC scene, and at the end when she goes solo to rescue Newt. Wow.
Hello friends. My most memorable memory of Aliens was in the cinema, 1986. It was an experience that I never had before or since. The cinema was sold out and the whole wall was silent. There was such tension and atmosphere in the air. You could feel it. Especially the scene where the Space Marines penetrated the laboratories in the extinct colony for the first time. I have never forgotten that to this day. A great, great film.
Aliens, a classic film. To me, Aliens are the Godfather 1 and 2 of genre cinema, two timeless masterpieces. But how do you know which one's the best? Well, if someone asks you if you want to watch Alien or Aliens, you know you're going to pick Aliens every time.
And then there's the director's cut when it came out in video. It was just, there's more. Amazing. The sentry guns, all the little bits that were added into the story. But for me, the best part is Hadley's Hut. Just seeing the colonists, that lovely camera shot of them in the operations centre, it just adds so much to the story. I've never seen world building like that since. It's just magical.
I remember the first time I saw Aliens, we were on a family trip. I was about 7 years old. And I remember the scene that stuck with me at the end where Bishop and the Queen comes down and gets Bishop, and his android blood goes everywhere. And I remember not being able to drink milk for weeks after that. And I'm not sure what stuck with me, but Aliens is a movie that I've watched thousands and thousands and thousands of times. And when I found out that there was a new documentary coming out, I had to support it. I can't get enough of the behind the scenes and what goes behind the movie.
I love Aliens because it's a rare sequel that builds on the original while taking it in a new direction. We get to see more of the aliens in their life cycle. We get to see Ripley become a badass leading lady. We get to see the Marines go from numerous, overconfident and cocky to a few survivors fighting courageously. Also, James Cameron made this film well before CGI was commonplace, so he had to bring out every trick and make it with blood, sweat and tears, and that's why it'll always be a masterpiece.
Check it out, Alien Standard Edition VHS. Special Edition VHS. I swapped it at my local video stores and they never called me. Doesn't matter, I've got this now anyway, so. Could be in trouble. Time to go.
Aliens is one of my all-time favorite movies. Even 40 years later, it's still influencing movies in science fiction and action. James Cameron proved he was a master of his craft when he made Aliens. The pacing, the characters, the humor, everything about it was so great. That's why Aliens is one of my favorite movies of all time.